Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Everybody comes in late nowadays. So, anyway, today I want to talk about willpower. And willpower is really our secret to success. And when it comes to everything. In fact, when they did a survey of Americans, they named willpower as the number one reason why they struggled to meet their goals. And if you've ever seen the statistics of people who make New Year's resolutions and fail, it's the number one reason has to do with willpower, be it from dieting to quitting smoking to all these other different things. The biggest problem is that when it comes to willpower, the strategies that we do use really don't work. And in fact, in most of the time, they will backfire, and they'll create us to self-sabotage, and they'll make us lose control. So to succeed at self-control, you got to know how to fail, okay? And I always call it failing forward. It's one of the things, if anytime you look at success, you're going to see, it would be from Thomas Edison to Abe Lincoln, that they failed and they failed and they failed and they failed, but they kept being persistent. Okay. Well, I believe the best way to improve your self-control is to see how and why you lose it. Okay. Because that's when you get an idea of actually who you are. And so what I've also found is that people who think they have a ton of willpower, I'll hear them. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I got this. Oh yes, I can lose this weight. Oh, it's no problem. I can walk by a cookie and it doesn't bother me." They're the ones that are usually the ones that have the least amount of willpower. Okay. I call them over-optimistic dieters because they're the least likely one to lose weight. And the reason why is because they're not paying attention to the whys when they fall down, when they fail. For example, they leave temptations around because they think, "Oh, I got this." And so, they might leave, they might be hanging out with people that smoke if they're trying to quit smoking. Yeah. It's not going to work when you're trying to quit smoking, and when you're tempting yourself. Those are the over-optimistic people trying to get trying to get their self-control. Other people will leave cookies around. They won't purge their home of things like they can't that they have addictions to, be it wheat thins or popcorn or something like that. They leave those around and they think, well, I can, I got this. And they find out that they don't have that. That affects your willpower tremendously. So the first thing you should do is have the self-knowledge of where you find yourself, what gets you in trouble. Okay, everyone struggles with temptation, with addictions, with distractions, with procrastination. Okay. They're not individual weaknesses. They're kind of worldwide. They're global. Okay, we all have personal inadequacies. They're universal, and so we've got to realize that we're all alike in that sense. And so we have to learn how to use willpower, but we also have to learn how to keep it in store. Okay, we have storage of willpower. It literally can all be used up. And so you have to become what they call a willpower scientist. You have to become your own scientist. And you got to make you the subject of your own scientific experiment. And so, there's going to be different things. I'm gonna stay on this for a while. Okay, this isn't just going to be today. We're going to be working on willpower, for at least a month, maybe 2 months, because I'm just telling Laura that it's not going to get better real soon. Okay. I don't know. I was just talking about how watching the debates last night, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was totally exhausted. And when you get totally exhausted like that, you don't have willpower. Okay. I mean, after watching that, I wanted to go get me a glass of whiskey and a cigar and just go out and sit somewhere, and just go, did I just see that? that stuff like that literally will empty your willpower bucket. It gives you can't stop the physiology or the mentality to go out and blow it. You lose your control. And so I'm going to be making challenges to you each lesson, so that we can learn how to not use up all our willpower. As all of us know, and I'm a perfect example of that, is that I have great willpower, super willpower, until the day starts to come to an end. And by that, I'm tired. I wake up very early in the morning, around 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I am constantly, people call this work, I'm retired. This is really my hobby, but it's still something that takes my willpower. It exhausts me, I guess, is the best way to do it. And as you get exhausted, you're going to have less and less and less willpower. Okay. And so you have to learn how to, willpower is also, not only governing your willpower and decreasing temptations, but it's also about governing your energy. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is what we want to do is we want to identify, what we want to take on. All right. And I had a little video this week, so I want to repeat some of this if you watch that video. There's two parts to our brain. Okay. There's one that says, and they're actually part of the brain. Okay. There's one that will be, I will do something. And there's one that says, I won't do something. All right. And those are the two things. That's the two ways that we look at willpower. Okay. And so in this case, since we're all trying to become healthier, we want to look better, we want to feel better. The one thing you want to do is I will stay with the foods that will get me to my goals. Okay. I will do that. And then the other thing is, well, I won't snack. All right. I won't veer off and eat off. I know this is a small period of your life. You got to remember, once you get to your happy weight, then we set that weight, and then we bring everything back and we find out what you can actually do. So you got to think about what I will do and then what I won't do. All right. And so every time that I'm trying to succeed in something, I'm telling myself, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to do that. And that's the first part. And that's only about 50% apart. Okay. There's a third part. And the third part is 50% of willpower. Okay. So let me use an example. Let's say that I'll take water. Okay. That I will, drink my 80 ounces of water in a day. Okay. That's my will. Okay. And I won't have soda pops. Okay, I'm not going to have any soda pops. I'm just going to stay with my water. As you know, I like having water out of a bottle, so I don't have all the estrogens from plastic. This is an Italian water. It's a still water. It's pretty cool stuff. I like this. It's a mineral water with no bubbles. Okay. And so you have to say, okay, I will drink my water. I won't drink sodas. Okay. And then you want to know what you really want, because the will and the won't get you there. It's only 50% of willpower. Okay. The other 50% is what I want. What do I want? What's my purpose behind wanting to drink this willpower? That want. I mean, this want of my drinking the water, that is the motivation. Okay. So you have to really sit and think about your want. Okay. What do I want? What I want, it's really deep down, is I want to be around for my grandchildren's weddings. Okay. And I want to be healthy. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I want to be able to chase them, run around after them. And so that's going to be a long while from now. So that means that I'm probably going to, minimum live to be 90. And so that means let's shoot for 100. I might want to be around for my great grandchildren's weddings. All right, so that's gonna. I'm lucky. I have a longevity gene, particularly on my mom's side. They seem to all live to be at the century mark, so that's a good thing. So it's not something that's unrealistic. I have family members that do it, and these are family members that did unhealthy things and they still made it. So I have a good gene, and so so that's what I want to do. I want to be around. I want to be around for them when they get married. And I want to be healthy when my grandchildren get married. And so that's the way you've got to look at things. You've got to look at things. I will drink my water. Very important. We all know that, but particularly for weight loss. I won't drink soda pops. And the reason why, the want behind it, okay, is I want to be healthy and live long and be around for my grandchildren's weddings, okay? So the thing that I want to do here is I want to have the water in front of me. That makes it a lot easier for my will. I don't want any soda waters around me. In fact, I want to have the least amount of clutter around me as possible, because that keeps you more focused on it, okay? And then I want to remind myself every time I drink this water, okay, I'm going to get my 80 ounces in today, because I'm going to be around for my grandchildren's wedding, okay? So this is how it all started. Our ancestors had a part of their brain, okay, that only really looked for three things. They were our instincts. We had our appetite, we had our aggression, and we had procreation. So in essence, it was food, fight, and the third F, I won't say, okay? Really, that is our primitive brain. Those are the only three things that our primitive brain is after, all right? They want food, they want to fight, and they want to have sex, all right? That's a large part of our brain. It's that deeper in part of our instinctual brain. Now, as the brain evolved, what happened is they made this prefrontal cortex, okay? And this prefrontal cortex right up front here, that's where our willpower comes from. It actually made a part of the brain so that, first of all, we didn't overeat, okay? That we made sure that we managed the amount of food that we had, that we didn't get in a fight, because if we got in a fight within our tribe, we might get kicked out of our tribe, and then we're probably going to be up the creek, okay? And you didn't want to go out and step out of boundaries when it came to the sex part, or you might get kicked out of the tribe too. So we actually evolved and made this prefrontal cortex to get self-control, okay? And the reason why we needed self-control was, one, we needed to fit in, okay? We needed to cooperate. We needed to maintain long-term relationships, okay? And so that's why we developed this prefrontal cortex. This prefrontal cortex is our self-control, okay? So we may have all been born nowadays with that capacity of having willpower, but some of us just are better at it than others. And those that have better control, have better attention, they have better emotions, they take better actions, they're better off almost at every way they look at it. That makes them healthier, it makes them happier, because obviously if we have self-control for our food, if we have self-control for us fitting in, if we have self-control for having a relationship with our spouse and stuff, by having those self-controls, we are much better human beings. Okay, so remember, we're fighting with two things in our head. We're fighting with our primitive brain, okay, our ancestral brain, and we have this prefrontal cortex that is going to be there to help control, the attention that, it makes us think about things. It makes us even feel about things. That made us better. It made us a modern human being. Okay. And so our main job with this modern prefrontal cortex is to do the harder thing. Okay? this makes us do the harder thing. I mean, it's easier just to go and just binge in the food. It's easier to go and fight somebody when we don't like them. Okay, it's easier just to go out and be non-monogamous. It's easier to do that. But the prefrontal cortex taught us how to do the harder thing. It's the thing that makes us get up in the morning and jump and go to the gym and eat the correct foods. And so we've got to pay a lot of attention to this prefrontal cortex. Okay. These parts are actually, the parts of self-control actually located in the brain. They can actually use imaging to find out, where the blood flow is going when you're doing different things. It divvied it up in 3 different places. Okay. It put the I will here, it put the I won't here, and it put the I want here. Okay. And so one of them, is up on the left side, one of them's on the right side, and one of them's up underneath. Okay. And so this self-control is what makes us, this will, won't, and want is what makes us do the harder thing. Okay. It's what makes us exercise 10 minutes longer or walk a little bit further. It's the part that controls us going to our goals. Okay. Now this lower one in our prefrontal cortex here, that's the one that keeps track of our goals. Okay. That's the one that keeps track of our desires. Okay. It's the one that decides what we want. This part of our prefrontal cortex here, okay, remember, is what you really, really want. Even when the rest of your brain is screaming, eat that, drink that, smoke that, buy that. The rest of the brain's doing that. But this guy right here says no. Okay? I mean, has anybody ever gotten, I know I've done this, ever gotten into an Amazon kick? Man, there's like packages coming every day type of thing. That's part of the primitive brain. Okay, that's part of it. It's because we get a high when we buy stuff. All right, and it might be good for you, but it's just one of those kind. We're actually just feeding an addiction when we're buying stuff. Okay, so our modern brains, the prefrontal cortex, has come equipped, okay, to quell our instinctive cravings. Okay, now you got to remember that when it comes to us here, that our primitive brain, what does it want when it comes to food? What does it want? It wants sugar and fat. I mean, because the sugar gave them quick energy, all right? And the fat gave them long-term energy. And so, we're fighting with this primitive brain all the time. It's craving fats and sweets. Okay, but fortunately we can use the other part, the evolved part, to override those cravings. And that's what we have to do. We got to override the cravings that are occurring from our primitive brain. Now, there's scientists out there that we actually have one brain, but we have 2 minds. Okay, it's kind of like we have 2 people living inside of us. Okay, and we've all heard that. I always give the story about, the Indian story where we have, the good wolf and the bad wolf. We have this, the bad wolf is our primitive mind, okay, and the good wolf is our modern mind. Okay, one of them works on impulse and immediate gratification. We've all been there, right? We've all got that thing where, we didn't care. We wanted to have that immediate gratification. That is who we are. That is the primitive mind. Okay. It goes on impulse. Okay. But the modern mind, the prefrontal cortex, has learned to suspend gratification, and it's to protect our long-term goals. Okay. So what do you have to know what this impulsive version wants, and you want to know what this wiser version wants. Okay, and so you got to pay attention to that. Our impulsive version wants sweets and fats. Okay, we want sweets and fats, ice cream. Okay, all right, that's what it wants, and it wants that because that's what we needed in primitive times. Some people will even name these parts of their brains. For example, the impulsive primitive type, they'll call it the cookie monster. Now we all know about Cookie Monster. When you smell some cookies, what happens? Huh? Boy, you want to go and partake in those things. Okay, that's instant gratification. Okay, the modern brain is going to be the critic. It's going to say, well, if you do that, you're going to end up having high blood sugar. You're going to spike your risk and be inflamed and such. Okay. So some other people call this modern version, the procrastinator, because it kind of puts the brain on, puts the brakes on that part of our primitive brain. And so you just want to know that there's two parts of you in there, and they're always there. There's the one that wants to just go for it, and there's the one that's holding you back. So the first rule about having willpower is to know thyself. Okay, without knowing who you are, your self-control system, it would be useless. Okay? You need to recognize that making a choice requires willpower. The brain always defaults to what is the easiest. Okay, the primitive brain wants the easy path. There was a study done. It had to do with food-related decisions. And what they did was they followed these people, and for one day, and they wanted to find out how many times they thought about food. Now, how many times in a day do you think about food? The average answer was 14. Okay, the average answer was that we think about food 14 times. But when in the study, when they studied how many times they thought about food, it was 227 times in a day. That's quite a bit of a distraction. If 227 times in a day we think about food, okay, that is going to most likely give in to temptation. So when your mind is preoccupied with all these impulses, instead of your long-term goals, you're going to be in trouble. And so the secret is to guide your choices. You have to have more self-control. And the only way you're going to have that is through self-awareness, by knowing you. For example, if there's cookies left on the kitchen counter, do you have the self-control to beat that? Or are you going to give in to that? Okay. Why tempt yourself? Because like I said, the over-optimistic dieter is going to say, oh, I can handle that. But if you keep walking by those cookies, guess what? Your primitive brain is just going to make you reach out and grab one of them. And so you want to pay attention to what undermines my goals. What does that? What do I do that makes me go with my primitive brain? So what I want you to do this week is I want you to commit on watching the process of your impulses. Okay, you don't even need to set a goal or anything. I just want you to improve your self-control eventually, but not right now. I just want you to catch yourself earlier and earlier in the process, noticing what thoughts that you're having that's creating what feelings and what situations are most likely to prompt your impulse to occur. What do you think or say to yourself makes it more likely that you'll give in? Okay, so I just want you to catch this week, and next week I'm going to give you a tool that's going to help you with this. Now, before I get off here, because we don't have that much time, is I want you to know that your willpower is just like your gas tank. It will go to empty. And so you have to, if you're putting cookies out there, if you're putting things that you know are going to sabotage your goal for your health, okay, and you're doing that on purpose, or not even on purpose, if it's just there, you're draining your willpower tank. And many of you, I've told you about the urge jar. And so if you have problems with eating things that you know is unhealthy for you, what I recommend is get a jar and get some marbles or something similar. And then every time that you beat one of your urges, you pass up cookies at work or candy that you bring to work. There's going to be a lot of candy here in October, right? It's going to be all over the place. Every time you can pass that up, they have found that science that if you put a marble in and you see the jar increase, okay, that visual sight of seeing how well you're doing when it comes to self-control gives you more self-confidence, gives you more self-control. It's like self-control is like a muscle. Okay, it will, if you exercise it just right, it gets stronger. But if you exercise it too much, if there's too many temptations away, it gets weak, it gets exhausted. And so it's very important that you don't put too many things in your way that's going to drain your brain, that's going to drain your self-control, okay? So this first week in this self-control, I want you to train yourself to find out about you. What do you have that is causing you to go to your primitive brain? So the first tool, and this has been proven over and over, that the first tool to use to increase your willpower is meditation. So I'm going to spend the last few minutes here going over. I know that we went through meditation for an entire month, and we went through mindfulness for an entire month. We even went through manifestation for an entire month. So I'm just going to spend the next few minutes teaching a quick meditation. But the scientists found out it didn't matter if it was 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, as long as you did it regular, that you, over time, that your brains became finely tuned willpower machines. There wasn't a better tool to increase your willpower than meditation. And there's three different types of meditation. There's one where you just pay attention to your breathing. There's another where you pay attention to your feeling, like you're pushing out love. There's the other one that I teach where what I do is I try to just be still and think of a mantra. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you to pay attention to, what you're tempting yourself with during the week. Get rid of them. Okay, that makes it really easy. Okay, that's the first thing. But look at you and see where your willpower is at. But if you want to increase your willpower, there's 3 steps. The first step is what I call 2 times breathing. Okay, so you do the 2 times breathing. I'm just going to do it shortly here because we're almost out of time. And so you're going to take a breath, let's say for 2 beats through the nostril, and then you're going to breathe out for 4 beats. You're going to do that 4 times. Then you're going to close your eyes and you're going to go through your 5 senses. Okay. You're going to say, what do I hear, Dave? What do I feel? What do I taste? What do I see? What do I smell? I'm going to go through that twice. What I like to do is the first time you're going to go through it, you're going to see, what's the loudest noise I hear? What's the thing that I feel the most? Okay. What is the thing that I taste the most? What is the thing that I see the most? Okay. What is it that I smell the most? And then when I go through the second time, I'm going to go through it and I'm going to say, Dave, okay, what's the most subtle thing you hear? What's the most subtle thing you feel? What is the most subtle thing that I taste? What is the most subtle thing that I see? And what is the most subtle thing that I smell? Okay. So that's mindfulness. That's getting in the present time. And you've heard me speak over and over about present time. That where we get in so much problems when it comes to present time, not being in present time, is that we're living in the past. Okay. And the past is fictional. Okay. It's not real. I've told the story over and over where, all 5 of us, we were at an event, all 5 of us would see it differently. All right. And so remember that it's not, the past is just a fictional story. Okay. The future doesn't exist. Okay. We have regret, we have fear. So by doing mindfulness, you're getting into the now. Okay. So 2 times breathing, 4 times, then go through your 5 senses twice, doing the most prominent, the most subtle, and then go into meditation. Now, what is meditation? Meditation is nothing more. You can't stop your thoughts. You will not stop your thoughts. This morning in my meditation, after that dang debate last night, which affected my sleep, that affected my willpower. I mean, if anybody watched that, you know what I'm talking about. It was just the energy just exhausted you. That exhaustion in you, okay, is this morning when I was doing my meditation, all that stuff was coming out. It's normal. It's normal to have all these random thoughts coming in. So when you do the meditation, you pick a word, a mantra. I taught you guys to use one. And so when your eyes are closed, after you've done your 2 times breathing, okay, after you've done your mindfulness, which is getting into the now, okay, then you go in your meditation. All you want to do is have in the back of your head a word. It could be one. It could be hope. Okay, you can go online and find a mantra. There's all kinds of mantras. It doesn't matter. Okay, put a word back there and just let it bubble in the back of your mind. And you sit there. No, you don't have to have fancy fingers or anything like that. You sit there and just be still. What's happening is those thoughts that are coming out, that's stress. That's stress just exiting your body. And guess what you're doing when you do that? Okay. You're refueling. You're refueling your willpower. That's why I do it twice a day. I do it first thing when I wake up. It's still dark, 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a meditation chair. I go jump in it and I do this. And I go into this and I do it for 15 minutes. And what I'll do is I'll wear my watch, but I don't unlock it. Because when you unlock it, then when you guys are texting me, it's going to let me know that you text me. I don't need that interruption, so I don't unlock it, but I can always just flip it and see the time. Because I want to do 15 minutes. And I very rarely go under, very rarely hit it on the money at this particular time in my life. I usually go over now, just because it seems like a lot of stuff is coming out. Stuff is coming out. If you do that every morning when you first get up, okay, your willpower will be better. Now, my secret is that when is my willpower the getting weak? It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I have an alarm that goes off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon that tells me to do another meditation. So I go back at 4, because this is when my willpower is going to be the weakest, from 4 o'clock on. Because now I'm tired. I've been up since 4. I nonstop work, play with my hobby, you guys, okay, for 12 hours. At 4 o'clock, I start hitting my wall. I do another meditation to fill up the tank for my willpower. I am not kidding you here. I want you to go and research meditation and willpower, and you're going to see Stanford, Harvard, all the major universities telling you there is nothing that increases willpower like meditation. If you go look up meditation and sleep, you will find nothing out there beats sleeping better than meditation. Meditators, okay, sleep better than any person on the planet. You're going to find that things. I dare you to go put sex and meditation. You're going to be blown away by the research that shows about meditation and sex. Meditation now has everybody on board. Everybody, all CEOs now are doing meditation because the research now backs it up. It's not an ooey thing. It's not a religious thing. It's a exercise for your mind. Just like you go to the gym and you exercise your muscles. Meditation is exercising your mind, and it's also replenishing your willpower. So do it every morning. Okay. If you get to the point where you can do it in the afternoons, all the power to you. It takes a while before you'll do it twice a day. It took me months before I was able to do it twice a day. Now it's an automatic. Now it's a habit. And so If you go and do that, if you go, and you don't have to use a mantra like I do, you can just pay attention to breathing. That's the way I first learned how to do it years ago, is I just felt the breath going in and out of my nostril. That's all you have to do. You don't have to think about it. Let the thoughts come. It's okay. Just, they're going to come. You're not going to stop them. Just let them float through you like water, like fluid, just going right through you. So that's another way. If you don't want to use a mantra, use your breathing. That's probably the number one way too. The other way is to think of a feeling. Like, love, which is, that's the universal feeling. That's God. That's heaven. And so what you do when you're meditating about that, you just think love, and you send love, and you send love, and you send love. You just use the energy of love to go out in the universe. Oh my God, is that incredible? So next week, I'm going to give you another tool. So this week is meditation, but you also want to do the 3 W's. You want to do I will, I won't, I want. That I want's the most important. If you don't know why you want to do what why you want to do this and why you want to not do this, you're missing half of it. You got to have that purpose. You got to have that want. And so that's where most people make the mistake, because they say, yes, I will drink the water. I won't drink soda pops. It's not enough. Why? Why will you drink the water? Okay. Why will you not drink soda pops? What is the reason behind that? So do that, do the meditation. We're going to need it. It's going to be a mixed up, muddled up, shook up world for at least a few months, I think. It's just, things are crazy right now. We got the COVID, we got the politics, we got the economy, we got lots of people out of work. We got stuff that's just happening. Okay. We're going to need to have willpower. We're going to have our sleep. Meditation, nothing beats both of those, and replenishing your willpower and let you sleep better. All right. Well, I'm out of time. God bless you. I love you. I'll be back next week. We'll learn another tool. Okay. Again, this will be recorded. It will be put on to Facebook, and so you can see it over again if you want to, or you can have your friends watch it too. Bye-bye.